Taking over the reins of a mega franchise is always going to be a challenge. Some people take it in their stride, like J.J. Abrams, who managed to remind us all why we love Star Wars. Other people find it a little tougher, like John Moore, who managed to crash and burn the Die Hard franchise with the appalling A Good Day to Die Hard. Microsoft has already managed to successfully pass the torch of one of their superstar IPs, with 343 Industries taking over the Halo franchise from its creators at Bungie. With Epic Games no longer interested in creating Gears of War titles, but Microsoft not prepared to give up such an obvious cash cow, they formed the Coalition to take the series forward. As Gears of War 3 tied up all the loose ends in the franchise, Rod Ferguson and his team at the fledgling studio had to not only create a new story, but a new set of enemies and a new cast of characters. This substantial refresh of the franchise makes it a superb starting point for new gamers to join the series. Fans of the previous games aren't left behind either though, with well-known faces popping up throughout this latest entry. You play as James J.D. Phoenix, the son of Marcus Phoenix and Anya Stroud. His school friend Del Walker, who enrolled in the COG militia alongside him, joins J.D. on this adventure. After a classified incident, the two of them go AWOL and find refuge with the Outsiders. It is among the Outsiders that they befriend Kate Diaz, whose mother is leader of the Outsider village that J.D. and Del join. This trio share an obvious camaraderie. However, apart from a few fleeting moments, there's not the same level of humour and sarcastic banter that Marcus, Dom, Baird and Cole shared. The journey you undertake will see your trio visit various locations on Serra and bring them up against a new array of enemies. The first set of foes you'll come across are DBs. These are robots that were created to help with construction work and later assigned to combat roles. They tend to come straight at you, only stopping to strategically take cover. The other group of enemies that you'll come across are the Swarm. This new foe has similar types to the Locust enemies you'll have faced in previous Gears of War games. They also have some particularly pesky bigger types though, including a couple that will try and pin you down or swallow you up, giving your teammates only a few moments to free you from their grips. The other enemy you'll come across is the weather. What you'll face here are massive windstorms and lightning storms that would scare even Nikola Tesla. With windstorms, the first thing you have to be aware of is flying debris, and we're not talking about the odd empty crisp packet or carrier bag here. You'll need to keep your eye out for giant metal pipes, burned out old cars and large rocks and boulders. If you want to avoid getting a severe headache, you're going to need to either dodge out of the way or duck into cover. The other thing you have to bear in mind with the wind is how it will affect the weapon you're using. If you're thinking of throwing a grenade or using a torque bow, you might as well forget it. Your best options in these hurricane conditions are standard bullet-based weapons, and if you reckon you can avoid all of this by using a chainsaw on your Lancer, you might want to think twice, as while you stand up to separate your enemies down the middle, you're likely to be greeted by a large, fast-moving object. Lightning storms work almost like a mini-game where you basically have to dodge a minefield of deadly pillars of electricity. These lightning sections often require a little trial and error to find a safe path to your next objective. The weather effects don't just add nice gameplay elements though, they also get to show off the improved particle effects allowed by the game from its use of Unreal Engine 4. There's dust swirling around as well as larger elements in a flurry that gains realism through its depth of field. It's not only the particles that look great, the whole game has a sheen of quality throughout its visuals. Gears of War's tried and tested linear gameplay of going along a corridor to a large area with lots of cover options and a swarm of enemies is once again the core backbone of the game. The Coalition have tried to spice the gameplay up with a few different set pieces and a chapter or two which resemble the new Horde mode. These set pieces are particular highlights, with a motorbike section and an escape section and a lift shaft being some of the most exciting moments ever in a Gears of War title. The often copied, but barely bettered, Horde mode is back and has undergone a few alterations. The basic premise is just the same as it ever was, but you now have to look after a fabricator unit that can be used to create defences and supply weapons. When you kill an enemy, they drop power points that you need to collect and then take back to the fabricator. Power up the fabricator and you can buy blockades, sentry guns, turrets and a whole host of weaponry. Collect even more power and you can upgrade the fabricator itself, which gives you access to more sturdy defences and better weapons. When you start each match, you also get to choose which class you will play as. You can be an engineer, a heavy, a scout, a soldier or a sniper. This adds a nice variation to your games and means that teamwork is more critical than ever. Last year, the Coalition showed us how they could use the power of the Xbox One with Gears of War Ultimate Edition. This year, they've managed to push the power of the console and also create their own gripping storylines to spur the series onward. Even as an ardent Gears of War fan, I can't deny that a lot of the game is repetitive like the earlier games, but this only made the levels where you do something different that much more special. For the most part, our new trio of heroes are welcome additions to the franchise. Their motives and actions are completely believable, and the mystery behind JD and Del's military career just adds more depth to their characters. The updates to Horde mode make for a more strategic affair, while still maintaining those heart-and-mouth moments we expect as you reach the end of a wave. This is all complemented by a decent selection of multiplayer modes that will no doubt keep the game an active part of most gamers' libraries. Gears of War 4 is a great jumping in point for new games to the series, but will also please the numerous hardcore Gears fans out there. I for one can't wait to see where the storyline takes JD and his team next.